What up? I'm Jared, I'm 19, and I think this bit is getting kinda old. I'm referencing an old Vine, but I may swap my channel name soon. iPhone, Vision Pro, brain-computer interfaces. Now, across the great land of techno-corporate America, the world is racing to see where the future of human-computer interaction will go. Did you know Xbox was invented to, quote, defend the living room from Sony? Or that Xbox Live was invented on accident? How about that Zuckerberg stole the word Metaverse and the idea for it from a book he read when he was a teenager? And that this book was required reading for early Facebook product managers. And it was also a mandatory read for the Xbox development team too, at least according to their former CTO. Actually, it's quite impossible to find any dot-com billionaire who hasn't read this book. It's called Snow Crash, and it's a piece of fiction that invented the cyberpunk genre, definitely inspired Ready Player One, and if you read it, you get a good sense of what many in the tech industry are largely inspired by. Now, I was fortunate enough to speak to Kevin McCarthy. No, not this one. This one, the guy in charge of making sure that Xbox makes money from Microsoft and that the innovations make sense. Thank you, Kevin, for the interview. You're the best. But we talked a little bit about the metaverse. It's revolutionary, right? Well,
Personal takes on the future of VR, MR, metaverse. Not a big believer, frankly, in it. I've played with all of them. Augmented reality with some sort of interesting glasses. Maybe it might work if you got it down to maybe contact lenses. But, very few people actually wear contact lenses. Putting on glasses, see-through glasses, augmented, that could be something. It still feels that, I think back to the days of 3D TV where we all had to wear glasses. It didn't catch on. It's just a big encumbrance. And then certainly putting on, a HoloLens headset or an Apple headset or a Oculus headset. It is very off-putting, the fact that you're completely cutting yourself away from the room you're around. You don't know what's happening outside. I find that, I think, is a very, very tough sell.
Nobel economist Richard Thaler said, if you want someone to do something, make it easy. That rule applies to UI and UX design, but I don't think you need an economist to tell you nobody wants to put on a giant headset every time they want to access their computer. But does that mean the metaverse is building towards a Ready Player One dystopia where we all log in to escape the horrors of reality? Not quite. So, Kevin, where do you think the metaverse could actually work?
One place that it could actually work is industry. You've got to wear hard hats in factory floors. You got to wear them on oil lines, oil rigs, and so there's already something on your head. You bring a visor in there with that. That could be actually something that's very easy to do and sort of natural feels as you flip the visor down when you want to use the AR or the VR. And certainly some companies are doing that at the moment. And so that to me is something that could work, but I don't see consumers be willing to wear stuff on their heads all the time just for the metaverse.
Thanks, Kevin. Do you know who agrees with you? The Department of Defense. So much so that DARPA is already experimenting with how far they can push AR integration into technology. But just how far can you push the neurons of your average farm kid who signed up for the military, who's never worn a VR headset in his life, before the VR headset turns into a, quote, vomit extractor? I guess that was answered with the scientific method, because here's a presentation on it. Now, I digress, but while researching the topic of this video, I came across this real chart, which was tracked by a headset on a real human of someone who was clearly disoriented by cognitive attacks through a militarized metaverse headset of some kind. Taxpayer dollars, by the way. Now, if you're not interested in puking up your guts outside of Colorado Springs after the DoD hooks up a military-grade VR headset straight to your optic nerve, that's perfectly understandable. But if you want to know where the future of tech and gaming is going, you have to look at how industry leaders are thinking about human-computer interaction. They're tracking where and how we interact with computers themselves. For example, at the time of the iPhone's release, there were already phones that existed with the same list of features on paper. The only thing iPhone did different was it took the experience of having a Mac and put it in the hands of mobile compute by leveraging new emerging technologies. Now, in the mid-2020s, when new emerging technologies are being developed and released at an increasingly rapid and potentially exponential pace, it's anyone's game. So Kevin, how did Xbox get started, and how did it change into the Xbox we have today?
That's a good question about the early vision of Xbox and how it evolved over time. At the very start, Xbox was conceived really to defend the living room from Sony. Bill Gates and the leadership were very worried that the living room would become the center of the business, and so, or the center of the compute in the house and move away from the PC. And so this was a way to defend it. But I think a key decision that was made was Jay Allard, who was one of the architects of Xbox, insisted on putting an Ethernet port into the original Xbox back in 2001. And what that allowed us to do, even though we didn't really understand it at the time, was create the Xbox Live product, which really differentiated the Xbox from PlayStation, both in the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 era. Where we were able to connect Xbox players across the world, really bring them together into that community, and frankly change the way people gamed.
To date, Xbox is a loss leader for Microsoft, which means they sell the product at a loss and expect to make returns on future investments where users are buying Xbox Live and Game Pass subscriptions. But if it's not the Metaverse, then what is the next big thing in tech and gaming? Kevin?
Next big thing in tech and gaming. In tech, it would be great to see what's beyond the phone. There's some interesting wearables coming out, and it will be interesting to see if we can get past the black rectangular cube, that sort of rectangular product that we all carry in our products at this day. As for gaming, I still think cloud gaming is a key element that people are trying to look at. It isn't there at the moment. The technical elements of it are too hard. At the moment, Xbox basically puts Xboxes in big server rooms, and that's how they run their cloud gaming. That really isn't the sustainable idea of it. And so, I think, further technology and linking that into this any device, any gameplay element will really be where the gaming is going to try to go. So I think that's where the future can lie.
Now, NVIDIA is already sinking a lot of time and effort into making cloud gaming economical and accessible to everyone. As for moving beyond the phone, CES 2024 already showcased a couple of gadgets that are trying to reinvent the smartphone, like the Rabbit R1. Obviously, in early 2024, VR headsets haven't replaced the smartphone, and we're not living in a snow crash cyberpunk dystopia. So if VR isn't ready yet, and it's not convenient enough, what would convenient, more accessible technology look like that would be so good we would be moving past the smartphone? In my opinion, it would require users to be able to control their computer with a flick of the wrist or their hands in their pockets, or even assisted by brain-computer interfaces in some regard. But this isn't the first time a product was surprisingly amazing and still didn't work. Just look at Xbox Kinect.
In my career, the technology advance that surprised me the most, or that just blew my mind, was really when we launched Kinect. When we first saw those prototypes where people were able to control the game without a controller, you being the controller, which actually became the tagline. That was really mind-blowing. And then to see where that technology actually moved on, Kinect for Windows, and surgeons using it in surgery and things like that, so they didn't have to scrub in and scrub out. It was really transformational technology. I thought the games themselves, were very fun. I still think back, Dance Dance Revolution, Kinect Sports. That was really just fun games and really brought new people into the ecosystem. It was a pity that we were never able to figure out how to really get hardcore gaming, to leverage the technology the way we thought it could be. But people, frankly, just didn't want to stand up, and move around for, 20, 30 hours as they're playing a game. That's not what they use games for. It's a much more sort of lean back experience. So, I think that the Kinect technology was pretty amazing. I still look back at one of the sad points of my career was the fact that we didn't, I think, make as much of that as we could have. We sort of got distracted by the launch of Xbox One, and but these things happen.
After AlexNet and the Attention is All You Need research paper paved the road for OpenAI's research, AI has become a promising lead for the biggest new advancements of the 2020s, and the only thing industry leaders seem to be able to talk about.
AI, generative AI, generative AI, generative AI, AI. It uses AI to bring AI.
So, Kevin, to wrap things up, what do you think the future of the Xbox looks like in the age of AI and the Metaverse?
It's a good question about where Xbox is heading in the next decade, particularly in relation to AI and the Metaverse. I think AI will be more a tool for the games rather than something itself. I think it'll allow, better gameplay for people, deeper understanding, more, less non-playable characters, more playable characters, games that will understand how you're playing it and react to that, make it harder as you go along, make it easier as you get stuck. It'll also help with development. The metaverse, I have to say, I'm still out on. I don't think having big headsets that cut you off from the rest of the world is really the way forward for gaming. I think gaming is a much more inclusive space than that. And you can see that with the rise of e-gaming and the rise of gaming on YouTube. As for Xbox in the next decade itself, I do think that, especially with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Xbox is really going to try to be in all elements of gaming. So that console, PC, mobile, and really build that interaction across all those different platforms in a way that hasn't been done at the moment. It is very hard to write across all those platforms. It's very hard to get the gameplay across those platforms. But I think that entire gaming ecosystem is where Xbox is setting itself up to play, and so sort of move beyond the console to be an all-encompassing gaming experience.
Well, there you have it. If you really want to predict where the future of computers are going, you have to look into the trends that are occurring in hardware and software. And I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something out of it. Channel's still super small, so I appreciate all of you guys watching, all your support, and just leave a comment for the next topic you want to see covered. Thanks.